Good evening, everybody. It's Steve here again from Charlie Noise Games and Collectibles. I'm a small eBay reseller specialising in toys, games, and collectibles. Earlier today, I put out a video updating some progress that we'd made on a project that we got working on. And I had suggested that I was going to list some items this evening, and I was going to sort of do a little walkthrough video on how I like to list my items on eBay when I'm updating my storefront. And I stumbled upon something a little bit interesting. I thought I would sort of share with you. It's a little method that I like to use in anticipating, specifically with Magic the Gathering, cards that are likely to have a bit of a rise in price. And if you get in quickly enough, you can potentially sort of make a little bit of profit off of them. So I'll just show you what I mean. One of the cards that I was planning on listing tonight is this Spirit Loop. You can see here, it's from Time Spiral. It's an uncommon. Now, what I like to do prior to putting a listing up is that I'll do a little bit of research. I'll get a feel for sort of current market pricing and all that sort of stuff by just looking at other listings on eBay and seeing what it's kind of currently listed for. It's this one here. Now, to my surprise, I found that Spirit Loop, cheapest copy of it was sitting at $16, which is quite a bit higher than I was expecting. I reckon last time I looked at it was around $4 or $5. But interestingly enough, just below that, next available and only other available listing for it is this foil copy, which is sitting only, oh, it's what, 16. This is what, $19 with postage. And one thing I know about Spirit Loop is that the Time Spiral copy of it is the cards only printing. I believe it was in the list slot in one or more sets, but if you want a foil version of this copy foil copy of this card, this is the only place to get it. So Spirit Loop, Time Spiral is the only foil edition of it. So I was a bit taken aback. I jumped over to MTG Goldfish, which is another sort of cross-reference that I like to do, sort of see what it's selling for in the States. One of the things that we do here in Australia when we're buying Magic the Gathering cards is if you're buying off, say, Facebook or whatever, if you're in like a MTG group or whatever, and just buying off some schmo and not buying it from an actual retailer, is that we will use Card Kingdom's kind of unconverted cost. So you see here, so CK is got it selling for $4.50. If you were to buy it off Facebook in Australia, you would expect to pay $4.50 Australian, because you're taking on a certain amount of risk by not buying it from a retailer. They just decide to not send the card, or if they send it, it's damaged, or they send it to the wrong address or whatever. There's no recourse for you. So that's it's the price of the risk that you're taking on. Anyway, came down here, and sure enough, since Edge of Eternity's Spirit Loop's found a home in some deck, or rather, you can see here, it looks like Ragost, which one of the new commanders from Edge of Eternities. So release of Edge of Eternities, cards found a bit of play, cards suddenly become desirable, and as you can see here, our price over time graph gone from what, $2 up to kind of $6. And $6 and still climbing. So we've kind of tripled in price. But what's interesting is you go over to the foil version, and this happens fairly regularly. So fairly regularly. This rule, this theory, only applies to cards that only have that one printing. So if Spirit Loop suddenly shows up in another set tomorrow, it's spoiled in, say, I don't know, Avatar, for example, even if it's on like the auxiliary sort of what's it called, like the auxiliary sort of print sheet, that these rules kind of go out the window. more printings there are of the card, the less this applies, if that kind of makes sense. It really only works if there's like one available kind of foil copy or one available specific copy of the card. So, sorry, very wordy way of saying, as you can see here, CK listing it at $17, but the market price hasn't really caught up. Now CK listing is sort of something near kind of like an unconverted sale price on this copy here. But if we go back to our time price graph, you'll note that the price of this card started to rise years ago. There's no correlation between the price of this particular copy or version of this card and the fact that it's sort of seen recent play. So this, therefore, is kind of its baseline price or value. Does that kind of make sense? And what is yet to occur is that we're yet to see an impact on the price of the fact that it started to see play in that particular commander deck. Now, we saw on the previous graph that the price of the base version had gone up 3 times. Now, you can expect that same path to be taken by the foil version, but it always happens a little bit later. Because when a new deck comes out, people are excited to play the new deck. They just want the cheapest possible available versions of that card so they can throw their deck together and get rolling. And so you only see the price adjustments in the more expensive versions of the card later on. Now, it is coming, but you just have to wait a little while. If we roll down here to this little sort of outlay of Card Kingdom's available current stock, you can see that it is sold out. This is a precursor to the market price going through the roof. So I fully expect over the next probably week that this price here will, well, maybe not this price because they won't adjust their prices so quickly, but this price here will triple, if not more. So we're going to buy this copy and we're going to see what happens. And I guess I'll update you later on, whether it does or doesn't. Yeah. Anyway, you are now armed with that little piece of information. If that's something that you want to engage in later on, be my guest. Let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, I think I might do an update storefront kind of video a little bit later. I think this is enough for now. All right, I'm going to check out. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.